Oh, welcome in, everyone. This is the Sunday session with Jir and Alex. I hope you're all doing well. And this is our chance to dive into the week that was Leeds United. And no better person to do it with than pick the fine mind of Jir Lynch, who is covering Leeds each week for the Leeds View. And we thank you for joining us. 3 quick ways to support the channel. Of course, become a member if you can. If it's within your means, the memberships really do drive the channel forward in terms of just everything reinvesting into the channel and keeping the channel alive. It's the base of everything that we do. If you're thinking about purchasing merch, there's affiliate links below. Check those out, as well as a partnership with Fanatics and the official Leeds United store. And if you're listening to this on the audio platforms, we're very interested in growing the audio side of it. So leave us a review and, of course, get stuck into the comments because we're live. To everyone, Jir, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Yeah. Leeds do have that, as we talked about before we went live. Leeds have that ability to ruin your weekend, but I didn't expect a huge amount from yesterday. We'll get into the game. Disappointed in the approach. I think we've faced Arsenal twice now. We've thrown the towel in very early in both games against Arsenal, but ultimately, we're exactly where we were before kickoff yesterday in the games. So could have been worse. But I did think the gap would get smaller this weekend. It didn't. Now, the goal difference took a bit of a hit, but I don't have the issues that you have, Alex. My day is over quicker when Leeds mess up. You have a lot longer to deal with than I do.
I was depressed for a while until I put my phone down. I think I was telling you off air. I put the phone down at 2-0 to West Ham over Chelsea, and just decided I'm not gonna do this. And then just before maybe dinner time, I said, let's take a look. Thank goodness Chelsea. Always didn't mind Chelsea. Always do know. It's tough to root for. They're obviously rooting for Arsenal, which they don't want to do. But this is where we are in the scrap. We'll talk a little bit about West Ham yesterday and the late developments, because I think the fallout from that game is interesting as well. But let's really this is our opportunity to take a step back and look at the week that was. I want to get just a quick question to you over to the Everton game. We don't have to unpack everything about it, but the second half at Everton was the first time since the second half at Man City where I really felt we lost that half. Every single half and every single match of football since the formation change at Man City, I thought we were well in this. Even the loss against Newcastle, we really should have had 3 points, maybe at least a draw. That was well beaten. Even looked to me like we were playing with, it felt like they were inviting us on to the point that looked like we were playing with 10 men and just hoofing it up to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who was quickly surrounded, or Aronson was surrounded by 4 or 5 Everton defenders. They come back down the pitch, and eventually the dam broke. You swing that into Arsenal, it did seem like a continuation of the Everton match. Are there red flags here, Jir, that you think Daniel needs to address?
There were moments where you felt there was maybe a bit of regression back to some of the issues we saw early in the season. I won't get away from that. I'm not doing a Daniel FArke outstream for those who think we should be sacking the manager for losing to Arsenal. It's 2 defeats in 12 games. So, but again, as we always do, praise and criticize. We praised him the last couple of weeks when he's got things right. Criticism here in this game and criticism for the second half against Everton. I felt against Arsenal the first time this season that he had gone into the game realizing we're not going to win this game. His comments after the game pretty much said, but we didn't think we'd get anything from this anyway, which I don't like. And I felt again yesterday that probably the same thing happened again. We saw similarities. I thought we started both halves pretty well. I actually thought we started the first 15 minutes of the first half decently against a very, very good side, the top side in European football right now. And we started the second half quite well. But when you look at the gulf in quality, you've got to maintain that, and we didn't. And once you start dropping off and dropping back towards your 18-yard line, once your midfield stops marking their midfielders and they start getting spaced around the edge of your box, you've got problems. And we did it against Everton as well. We came out in the second half against Everton. We sat on the 18-yard line. You can't do that. This team has proven this team is, for all the good things, sorry, this team has done this year, they've also proven if they have to sit on the edge of the 18-yard line, they will concede goals. They've done it repeatedly this season. Whenever we decided to just drop and sit, goal. West Ham did it against us. Fulham did it against us. Happened again yesterday, happened against Everton. So we can't do it. The best form of defense for Leeds is attack. When we're going forward and pushing teams back. Now, you can argue, and it's a valid argument, that had he decided to go for it in the second half more than he did, I think he got the system wrong. This thing in his head of, well, I changed to the 4-3-3, like it's the best backup formation. It's not. And we've talked about it to death this year. You could have easily gone 3-4-3, kept that 3-man defense, because we cannot defend in a 4. Like, we look all over the place in a 4. The two lads at the back have too much ground. Stroke is excellent in a 3. He is not that good in a 2. Like, it's poles apart differences. He gets dragged all over the place in a 2. So he could have held that 3 at the back, 4 midfield, 3 up top, and then had some of them drop into midfield when he needed them. Could still done that. I think the system was a problem. I think I said at halftime, about 5 minutes into the watch long yesterday, we'll see how this back 4 goes now. But I'm not confident with Leeds defending in a back 4. And it proved to be that case. So there's been a couple of issues. Sitting too deep too early, not cutting out crosses, which has been a problem now for a couple of weeks. That's started to eke back in. So it needs to be fixed. And it needs to be fixed for Friday night, because the Nottingham, whatever about the Arsenal game, ultimately don't care about that result. I don't care about the points from that game. I do my normal thing of totting up points where we'll get them. Arsenal were down as a 0. Man City's down as a 0. Those 2 games. Wasn't even looking at them for points. But Friday night against Forest, Leeds need 3 points in that game. That's an important one to get. That has to fix the one for the defeat away to them. We've got to show a different performance than we did against them. I know we're missing a couple of players. James Justin's got a bit of an injury now as well into transfers, but that's the issue. Like, they got to fix those problems. They cannot decide now we've got enough to just sit back and try and defend games. We can't. If we're 1-0 up, we've got to go get 2. We've got to go get 2. And to do it at halftime it's not enough. It's not enough. So yeah, I can get over yesterday's result as far as the points. I'm not happy with the amount of goals that we conceded. We defended like children. I mean, the goal, I had to look back and talk to Paul about this as well last night. Guy Gresh's goal at the back post. I don't know why Joe Rodon didn't jump. I was talking to Paul in the car yesterday after we did the instant match reaction, and Paul says Bogle calls for it. Bogle shouts at him, so he leaves it. And then Bogle's the wrong side of Guy Gresh and he scores. It's just horrendous defending from everybody there. The opposite, the Carl Darlow, Dominic Calvert-Lewin one. You attack the ball. You don't listen to the call. You attack the ball. If you can win it, you win it. And then you look around afterwards and go, yeah, we'll talk about it in a minute. But you go and win the ball. So, it was poor. Hopefully, it's out of our system now. I don't think Daniel FArke will spend too much time dwelling on this one. I won't. I don't think anyone should. I don't think the people who want to overreact to this will overreact to this. I don't think you should. If we get hammered by Forest on Friday, then you can put this along with the second half and everything together and go, there's a problem here. But right now in isolation, it's a single game. As a game I didn't think we'd get any points from. West Ham did us a favour last night. The gap is still the exact same. They've lost Todibo as well now to a suspension, who's an important player for them. So we'll see how we go. But Leeds have got less than 24 hours, just over 24 hours, less than 36 hours to get what they need in to try and make sure Daniel FArke has the full deck of cards for the run to the season. That's going to be really important now.
Yeah, big match. It's going to be a 6-pointer, as they say. Forest has actually eclipsed Leeds in terms of the betting odds to stay up. Leeds are now fourth favorite, I guess, to go down. I suspect that's basically because of the upcoming matchup. Now they have a game in hand. Things change every day. They won't after today. And then that Forest game is at home at the City Ground. So, yeah, well beaten yesterday. I just felt we just didn't hurt them, which was disappointing. With one shot on target, I think it was that meek attempt by Ampadu when he kind of found himself uncovered in the box and he put, a decent strike. Actually, that wasn't even on target. I don't even know. I can't remember the one on target. So 7 shots on targets for them. The possession was really shared. and then they did muster 12 corners. I felt as though if we went in to 1-0 halftime was big. I think the Darlow mistake compounded it, and heads dropped after that. And then I think FArke had to risk a little bit more of what he wanted to do in the second half. The substitutions obviously weren't ideal. Nothing worked out because we wound up getting just as poorly beaten in the first half as we did in the second half. I want to see if I could pull up FArke's comments, some of his comments. But specifically on the goalkeeper, he said essentially that he was asked directly if there's 4 senior goalkeepers at this camp within Leeds United. Are you happy with all 4 of the senior goalkeepers, and do you need one for the transfer window? And he essentially said, "If I speak," he kept saying, "If I speak, the the market will then inflate our ability to go get a goalkeeper." But what are your thoughts? Yeah,
it's a silly comment for me, because if you say his point is, if I said that we needed a midfielder, a number 8, then that tells every club in the league that we're looking for a number 8, and therefore the price of the number 8 goes up, right? That's essentially what he's saying. If it's number 8, it's a goalkeeper in this scenario. That happens the second you ring the club and say to them, "We're interested in buying one of your players, this guy," because then you're just telling them, "Well, you're interested in this player, and clearly you need him," so the price goes up. That to me doesn't make massive amount of sense as a comment. He doesn't want to talk about the transfers, which is fair, which is fine. He doesn't want to talk about them, and that's his prerogative. He doesn't want to get into it. He'd rather focus on the football, on what's here right now. But there was the comment on the goalkeeper transfers was very, very telling. Because I always say Daniel FArke will say things without saying things at times. He will leave little breadcrumbs in what he says. He does it with his press conferences. And he said, on the goalkeeper transfer, "Our board knows my feelings on what we should do. I won't speak in public about my opinions. Sadly, I can't answer that honestly." Now, that last line of that is him answering that by saying he can't answer it honestly. He's saying, "I'm not allowed to talk about this." So what do you actually want to say, Daniel? Like, what is the line here? Because clearly that suggests to me that he wants another goalkeeper. That suggests to me that he isn't happy with the goalkeeping options that he's got. I mean, Lucas Perry has been criticized for his distribution this year, rightfully so. He's been criticized, I thought, harshly in the Newcastle game for not saving the final shot, because, I'll say it again, it was 5 defenders between Harvey Barnes and the goal, and they let him turn and shoot. Didn't block the shot. But maybe he still should have done better. But he gets stick for that. Karl Darlow twice this year has put the ball in his own net. Twice. He did it against Sheffield Wednesday, went off the inside of his leg and went on a cross along the ground with no pressure on him, hits off his ankle and goes into the back of the net. And last night he punches the ball into the back of his own net as well. And he puts Dominic Calvert-Lewin on the front post to deal with that ball, and then decides, actually, I'm going to have this, and pushes Dominic Calvert-Lewin's head down, and then punches the ball into the back of the net. That's a problem. And then Meslier last year was his issues with dropping ball at people's feet to get tap-ins against Hull, Sunderland issue as well. So among the 3 goalkeepers, Lucas Perry is the one that has yet to actually physically launch a ball into his own net or cause a goal directly from a preventable mistake. But he's still not happy with him, and he's not the answer when it comes to distribution. So Daniel FArke has got 3 goalkeepers that all have weaknesses that affect him, and he's not happy with it, but he can't talk about it. But there's a contradiction in this as well, because the second one is, on transfers then, he said to BBC that he feels the club is ready to pounce if required. Clearly it's required. If he's not happy with his goalkeepers and they need to pounce. We're getting to deadline day. Leeds' record on deadline day is not good. And
especially January.
Yeah. I mean, Connor Roberts, deadline day, loan signing. That was the last one we did, and that was dead at the very, very end of it. Harry Wilson in the summer didn't go through, but I'm not in the summer. Potentially goes hammer if you believe reports as well in the summer. I don't feel like Leeds would pounce on anything. I feel it'd be like a slow crawl to kind of just nudge somebody at this point. Like, pounce. Yeah. Because at this point, they need to pounce on a goalkeeper, a left back, and a striker. And I mean, you've left it late, like you always do. You've left it late.
Yeah.
And I don't have huge confidence in Leeds to do deals on deadline day, especially not ones they really need. So, yeah, I don't know. He's in a tricky situation because I normally would say, well, you've got to protect your goalkeeper. There was no Arsenal players around Carl Darlow last night when he did that. There was no Arsenal player near him. So
I think
what do you
he
do?
likes. I think he struggled to replace Meslier last year. I think he wants a player, wants a goalkeeper with the ball decent at their feet. Which is one of the things Meslier is okay at. He's okay, specifically, I believe, with his left foot, dribbling a little bit. He looks like a little bit of a center back. If you kind of did a quick look, you wouldn't know it was the goalkeeper that was in the middle of the back three right then. And he's okay at shot stopping. Meslier can be on a real good run shot at a pure shot stopping level, especially one-on-one. But he has a defensive frailty in which he will never be probably looked at again at the club, because if you put the ball on top of his head in a crossing situation, which happens a lot in the Premier League, you look at Arsenal just put 12 corners on us. If you put eventually one of them is going to drop, and that's what happened to Darlow. I mean, Darlow, the traffic in and around the box in the Premier League is it's become Anthony Gordon came out was asked about it in the Champions League and basically said it's a more set piece laden league than it's ever been. It's a more physical league. And so when they recruited for this position, they got Lucas Perry, and I think he's been okay. He hasn't been perfect in a lot of. He's come off of his line. I can't say he's had a howler. His distribution is not his long distribution is not as good. But I know you're the Roy Keane line on this is like keep the round thingy out of the net thingy, and then we win. You know what I mean? That's really all I care about. I don't care if you put it on the crown of Dominic Calvert-Lewin's head.
Perfectly. Keep it away from your goal. Keep it away from your goal. But there are people in the comments saying the goalkeeping coach needs called out. Leeds have changed their goalkeeping coach 3 times in the last 3 years, right? So, and people always jump back to the coaches. I'm sorry. I disagree, because Carl Darlow is a professional goalkeeping coach. You telling me he can't catch a ball that's rolling along the ground to him with his leg behind him properly? You're telling me he can't punch a ball? He's over 30 years of age. He's been doing this since he was a child. You're telling me the goalkeeping coach is responsible for Carl Darlow's decision-making. And I'm sorry, but he's not. The goalkeeping coach is also not responsible for Lucas Perry's lack of distribution ability, because they knew that was the problem when he brought him in the first place. They've talked about it extensively. So, again, not the issue. These are not children that are being coached. These are professional footballers, elite-level athletes at the very, very top. The basics of their coaching has been done at this point.
I still get a sigh of relief when I see Darlow or Perry catch a ball, and it's like so easy it's a routine kind of catch. I'm like, oh, but I've been used to the yips. The punch yesterday was poor. I think Darlow has times. He's a backup goalkeeper. I mean, that's basically what he was. He was signed for the championship. I think he could be steady Eddie. I don't know. The worst thing that you want in a relegation scrap is kind of a goalie controversy. But I really think he's got to figure out who he's going to go with for the rest of the season, and it's a big call. It's a big call that he's going to make. And I don't think help is on the way. I don't think, prime Buffon is coming through the door. No. So yeah, FArke has got to figure that out. Now, is that on the 49ers, the board? Sure. Yeah. I mean, I got to call it. They recruited Perry. It hasn't worked out. You're in a relegate. You were always probably going to be in the second half of the table. So you had to get that right. I honestly think that just unfortunate, let's say this presence of Meslier still around. I just didn't want him. He was obviously upset the fact that he lost his shirt last year, and then
he doesn't have to go.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to go.
He doesn't. I mean, I don't think anyone can blame Alain Meslier at this point. He's got a contract that he signed at Leeds. He's on really good money. It's a Premier League level contract he signed before we went down. He knows that if he sticks around until the end of the season, he gets a cash payout because he gets a loyalty bonus as part of finishing your contract with a club. So he gets that. His options for him are far better to go into the free agent market in the summer, and then he has the pick of whoever he wants. It's all on him. Leeds have put themselves in a position where they've let this one tick down. They should have sold him last year when there was interest in him. They didn't. They sat on the decision far too long. People will say, and there's comments there that say, Meslier under Marcelo is the evidence, but he was dropped under Marsh, dropped under Allardyce, dropped under Garcia, dropped under FArke. There's a pattern there as well. I think Meslier will end up being a decent goalkeeper. I think we saw the same with Marco Silvestri at Leeds. Had a tough time, went off, has a very good Serie A career. Keepers can will develop at different rates and are probably better in different places as well. Keepers struggle sometimes in the Premier League, but I don't think Meslier needs to do any favors for anybody. And right now, he's looking at a situation going, why would I leave now? Why would I go to Celtic until the end of the season? Or why would I go back to Lorient when I can wait? And maybe it's a Milan, because both Milan sides apparently are interested. But whether you rate him or not, all the noise is that they are interested in him as an option. And again, Serie A is a different league. We've seen that. The goalkeepers that have come in from Serie A. It's a very different environment. So he doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't owe anybody any favors. He's signed his contract. He's honored his contract. He's won. And now all the power is in his hands. And he's going to sit on his hands until the end of the season. If Leeds go to him right now and say, by the way, Fenerbahce want to buy you, you can go to Fenerbahce. No. End of story.
Mm-hmm. No. Yeah.
End of.
Yep. And that's on the board, and the multiple people in the board at the time, two ownerships. That have not, they struggled to get a keeper in for a while, and then FArke didn't deem Darlow as good enough to replace him. So let's unpack a little bit of the second half of the game. Just substitution.
Sorry, I just really quickly, because there's a guy repeatedly putting the comments about Daniel FArke. I am not being sentimental over Daniel FArke. I've made my opinion very clear on Daniel FArke over time. I'm just not dedicating an entire stream to giving out about Daniel FArke. We've other things to talk about. There are plenty of options around YouTube of people who will spend the next hour complaining about Daniel FArke. We're going to talk about football.
Yeah. I mean, the summary, the punchline for me on Daniel FArke is he's extremely conservative in the way he approaches the game. Is he good enough? Yep. He's I don't know. He is what he is. We're trying to. Is it you going to change a manager right now? If we're all going to say like Daniel FArke out, it's just not. It's not helpful in terms of, I think, us as fans. It's exhausting. And then who are you going to play? What are we going to make picket signs and go in front of Ellen Road and say Daniel FArke out? And I'm not going to buy any tickets until he. I mean, we're in a scrap.
Right now, he's two places above the relegation zone where Leeds had aimed to finish this season, and everyone would have said we would take 17th. So right now, he's above that. He's above his point per game average, where he needs to do to get to 40 points to survive in the Premier League. And he's lost 2 games in 11 in the Premier League. Right now, there is nothing there that says sack him and bring in anybody else in February now at this point. That's just going to cause massive instability across the board. If they were going to get rid of Daniel FArke, it would have had to have been done in November at the international break. It wasn't done then. So now you're in a point of, we've been down this road before. We sacked managers in February. Look what happened. An absolute shit show between then and the end of the season. And we went down with a whimper. So right now, FArke is a conversation for the summer. He ain't going anywhere. There's no point wasting any time or anything. 12 wins in 72 Premier League games is the jokes as Leeds 2020. Yeah, let's talk about Leeds. And again, I've made my points clear. At the Aston Villa game, we said Leeds should change manager. We said that here. Okay. Since then, he's lost twice. And look at the teams that we played against. I'm not saying he's the best manager. I'm genuinely tired of talking about Daniel FArke because people are obsessed about it. Mm-hmm. I don't love Daniel Farke's style of football. I don't always love Daniel Farke's approach to games. It is what it is. No point in wasting air on it. I'm not going to anymore. We will talk about Daniel Farke when it is worth talking about Daniel Farke. He lost to the team that are top of the Premier League yesterday, who are also unbeaten in the Champions League and top of the Champions League group right now. No back-to-back wins. Look at every newly promoted side. Leeds have got games coming up where they could very easily put back-to-back wins there, and they're the most important games. Getting something against Arsenal was not even on the agenda. And anyone who says it was is kidding themselves.
And I could go through the table. Last week was worse, but I could go through the table and you'd literally have Chelsea changed their manager. Liverpool wanted to change their manager. Man, you changed their manager. Fulham have bounced back. Everton, I think fans have had questions. Newcastle now sit 10th. There's questions over their manager. Areola has always been in a good spot. Tottenham, Tottenham want Frank out. Literally 40 to 60% of the league wants their manager out at any given time. It's like, if you literally wanted to go through it, West Ham fans are livid at Nuno. They want to.
And Forest fans can't stand Sean Dyche. Can't stand him. Hate him. But like, Alex, this is where the point's at, right? And again, look, if you don't like Daniel Farke, I'm not saying you're wrong. You're not. And if you do like Daniel Farke, it's completely your prerogative if you want them or not. I'm just saying that as a talking point, I don't think right now it's a talking point. That's the point that I'm making. If you look at what Leeds need to do, Leeds need 14, 15 points to stay in the Premier League at this point. At home, Leeds have got Burnley, Forest, Wolves, Sunderland. Those four could deliver you 12 points. Now, they probably should. They're the ones that I would be looking at and going, I think we need to win all four of them. And you will get back-to-backs in that situation then. That's what Leeds need to do. You then look at Leeds United's away games, and you've got Villa, Crystal Palace, Manchester United, Bournemouth, Spurs. Spurs are the worst home record in the division. Get a point there. Get a point at Palace, and maybe get a point at Villa or Chelsea. Remember, we beat Chelsea as well this year. So if you can do that, you get 41 points and you're safe. So the points are still there right now. Mm-hmm. They're still there. This was never won.
We're in the driver's seat.
I don't. It's still in our hands. It's very much still in Leeds' hands. No matter what Leeds do with that, remains to be seen. Like we've been in a similar situation when the year we went down. We were relatively safe coming out of the January transfer window, and we bottled it, and we ended up going down. So it might be the case, but it's a talking point for a different day. If he loses to the likes of Forest and Burnley, you've got a problem, and then he probably won't be here in the summer anyway. And I reckon that's a situation that will be looked in the summer, regardless of what happens with Leeds. That's a situation that will be looked at in the summer. But right now, I'm just not overreacting to being beat. And I know Forest got results against Arsenal, but we got results against teams that Forest didn't get results against this year. So you can play that game. It's but it's a moot point at this stage.
We'll shift gears a little bit because I think it's like you said, it's the people that there's people online that do have an agenda against FArke, and I totally get that. It's just it's hard to have a conversation around that as a club because there's nothing. What are we going to do? And I don't necessarily think it's the most productive thing either, player wise, because there's a saying: managers manage, players play. In the second half, you probably would say there's no one that covered themselves in glory.
No,
but is there anybody? Justin came off for Longstaff. Aronson came off for Buenanote. Buenanote got a decent look, coming in at the 71st minute. Stack came off for Nanto, and then there was and I get why fans are here, just upset at this type of stuff. But Perot comes in for DCL.
7 minutes ago.
Yeah, with 5 minutes to go. He's getting basically cups of coffee in this, and we all think that he needs to be moved on. But anything from the players that you're seeing, that could be, something to look forward to towards the season.
Nope, not from yesterday.
Not from yesterday.
No, right. Yesterday, nobody stood out as having a good game yesterday. Nobody. The bad decisions made across the park. Ampadu had a decent first half. Tried the second half. Same with Joe Rodon. Tried. But we've played Arsenal twice this year, and twice we've looked scared. No, and I don't like that. I don't like that.
They're the two.
I agree. I agree with everyone, by the way, who says it's the manner of the defeat. I completely agree with that. Like, if we'd have lost 3-0, fine. 4 was a problem. It could have been 7. Let's be honest about it. They had multiple free headers at the back post at times against Leeds. We just waved the white flag yesterday, but it's gone. I hope it's gone as quickly as we can get it gone, and then just focus on the next game and get going again, because there's more important games.
Bad day at the office. What tweaks would you do for Forest? What would you playing the Sean Dyche side?
I would go like for like. I would go 2 up top. Now, whether we get Lucas Mecha in back and fit or not, I don't know. But I would be aggressive in that game.
Would you put Okafor in as that second striker? No. And
by the way, Strand Larsen's off to Palace. David Ornstein just tweeted Crystal Palace have submitted a bid. They've actually submitted this time 43 plus 5. They've gone down on their bid. They've offered less money than they offered last week. It's being discussed via George Mendes or Jorge Mendes. Strong chance Wolves will accept this. It hasn't been accepted just yet, but that's that one in the bin, which we all thought it was. So yeah, sorry, Alex, go ahead.
Well, and we knew it would probably be like that. It sounded last week like the deal was agreed in principle, probably verbally, and then they all leaked it to each other. Strand Watson's off to Crystal Palace, and then they said, "Okay, now how are you going to do this?" They probably had to sign the contracts, and they're like, "Ooh, we don't know. We want to move things around, make sure they're good for PSR." And then once I think the accountants and the documents are drawn, they can get to their number. It's also a matter, I think, of how many payments, when do you want to receive them, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think Leeds will do much in the next window. Obviously, we'll talk about kind of covering that on the deadline day. January has never been a month that, if you were to do it, get it done early. And the way FArke, I think, treats players with 2 or 3 games to just get acclimated to the club, and then look at Buenanote, he's kind of getting scraps just right now. I mean, the impact that a signing could have, you're literally looking at 15 to 18 games. But I mean, how many games would you start under FArke? I don't know, maybe 15, maybe 10. So, I mean, not nothing, but also just difficult to get acclimated into a scrap.
He's always taking his time, though, to bring new players in and give them time. And if you look at other clubs, if they sign a new player, they usually come straight in. First game they'll come off the bench, second game they'll start. Leeds bring in players, and they might get off the bench in the first game. They probably won't. You might see them in the second or third game, and by the time they actually get into the team, it's usually because somebody's gotten injured. So, yeah, I think if you're bringing players in to improve your squad, play them. But otherwise, why bother? Could you jump into a couple of comments just real quick, Alex, just on the transfers? The John Duran link to Leeds comes from Team Talk, not BBC. And with Team Talk links, you may as well throw mud at a wall and see what sticks.
Right.
It's not credible. And also, he's got a horrendous attitude, and he would come into the dressing room and likely piss everyone off, which FArke doesn't want. Angel Gomez is an attacking central midfielder, not a central defensive midfielder. So he's not an upgrade on Gruev, because different position. But Leeds have brought in Buenanote, so that's done. So you're not getting anybody else there. And not all of our transfers have to be because somebody else has bought somebody. Like, we do have other players that we can look at that haven't just moved to another club in the Premier League. And there was another one there, probably did spend too much time on JSL. Dubh on loan. Dubh has just had surgery on a thigh injury. He's probably out for 2 months. So yeah, no point.
Are you surprised by the way the club's been kind of strong-armed by the current players? Like Meslier, we can't move Meslier on. We want to move Perot on, seemingly, and Perot's like, no, I want to stay and fight for my chance here. No thanks.
Yeah, valid question.
We can't seem to can't sell.
Yeah. Very valid point, because we if one thing about the recruitment team, if you look at the players that we brought in the summer, yes, they were criticized in the summer. They've been criticized at the early part of the season, but they've done a decent job as the season's gone on. Like, we are really missing Jacobi all at the back, and that tells you how good a signing he has been. Gabby Goodman's been an excellent signing for us as well. Anton Stack, very, very good more often than not. So the players they brought in, Okafor has taken too long to adjust. Actually started really well and kind of went off the boil. Yeah, that's debatable whether that one's been brilliant or not. But in terms of the recruitment team selling players, they've really struggled to get players off the books.
I mean, Jack Harrison took a while.
And even at that, the option to buy is like 3.5 to 5 million or something like that. It's like, I mean, Jesus, it did not make it much on that. Yeah, we've struggled to get rid of players. Meslier was it is. I mean, the comment in the end of the summer of it was better for all parties that Meslier stayed. Why? Well, how is that better for anybody? It's better for Meslier. How is that better for Leeds? We've got a third choice keeper who won't play a game of football. Has sat on the bench once this year. Won't play. Knows he won't play. Whose contract is ticking down. Who can just sit in the stand and hang around. And you've lost money on a fella that represented 100% PSR profit. How is that good for the club? How does that make any sense at all? You couldn't sell him. If they offered you 5 million for him in the summer, you should have taken it because that's 5 million of pure PSR profit. And he's not going to play. And if you value him higher than, and that was the other line, but we valued him out higher than the offers that came in for him. Well, now he's worth nothing. So now you're getting nothing for him by sitting on your hands. So that hasn't worked out at all. So same with Piru. I like Joe Piru. I have a lot of time for Joe Piru. I really appreciate what he's done for Leeds. I'd like to see him playing up front in a 2. I think he still has something to offer. But Daniel FArke is not using him. Yesterday coming on for 7 minutes was absolutely pointless. As the target man in that 7 minutes, you saw exactly what you'll get from him. Nothing, because he's not a target man. It's not his fault. And the club are making a decision not to move him on. And if the player says, well, I want to stay, well, sorry, pal, you've got 2.5 years, 18 months left on your contract. We're not going to play you. We're selling you. You know, it has to be that ruthless at times. To the point that was made earlier about sentimentality. It can't be. Like, you've got to be able to do that, because if you're in a tight PSR situation, which Leeds absolutely are, you need that cash. You need it. Yeah. So you can't afford to go, well, he was great last season and we love him. Okay, but he's not playing.
Yeah.
You know, and he wants to wait till the summer. Like, he can't decide that. He can't decide that. Now, again, I'm saying this on the context of if Leeds need to move him on. I'm not saying we should move him on. I like Joe Piru. I think he should be playing in a 2 up top, but he's not. Is the point, I suppose.
Yeah. Trimming some of the fat, as my father would say, has been a problem for the board in their first kind of full year go at, especially the Premier League. Just the guys that they're just not playing. It's not nothing on them. It's nothing on who they are, what kind of attributes they have. The fact that they could just sit here and be like, no, I want to stay. I'm going to stay really high and not move on and try to go for playing time is just really disappointing. Yeah. The good news that happened yesterday, and we were both had different stories, is West Ham was winning 2-0, goals by Bowen and Somerville. I do have to say their front 3 is pretty good. We don't have a Bowen, and I don't even know if we've got a Somerville on the squad. So those are 2 good players that will have goals and threats in them. The second half comeback was on for Chelsea. Goals from Pedro, João Pedro, Cucurella, and Enzo Fernandez in stoppage time led to them getting nothing from Stamford Bridge, and it's as you were at the table. And then a big kind of side story is that there was a scrum, I guess, or something after the match. Started a little bit by Adama Traore, their new signing, who had his arms greased up, ready to go. My buddy and I always laugh because he claims he does not lift weights and that he does like these body lifting things. Yeah.
No one is buying that, mate. No.
Yeah, he's got to be on some kind of gear too, creatine or something. Anyways, started by him a little bit, but and I'm totally going to botch his name again, but Tadabio, one of their starting center backs, John Clare Tadabio, is going to be out for at least 3 matches. Straight red card. He was choking a player, could even be more. That's a big run-in for West Ham, specifically in their scrap. They're even talking about buying a center back. A lot of their fan channels are like, emergency button, we have to buy a center back before the window closes, which they could do. But again, developing a partnership within a short amount of time can be difficult. So that was positive.
Well, so Dubh was an important player for them, so him getting a suspension is something again, and they've got not necessarily got easy games coming up either, and they'd have to deal with losing. And that, I mean, losing the way they lost yesterday as well can have a detrimental impact on your side as well, especially when you're trying to build confidence. So, but look, I mean, everyone's saying like, we're relying on other teams. We kind of are, and we're kind of not. Like we still have a 6-point gap plus goal difference. So it's still 3 games technically if they're all wins. That they have to go.
We have to get a result. I mean, it's in our hands, as you said.
Yeah, and I mean, people are saying like the Forest game is probably not a must win; it's must not lose. But I think it is a must win because I think you've got to beat the sides that are down there with you when you're at home, whatever away from home. Pick up a point away from home, but win the ones at home. I think you've got to look at you beat Forest. You not only pick up 3 points that week, but you also guarantee yourself a gap because they've lost to you. So it's a 6-pointer. You beat West Ham on the final day of the season. The 6-pointer again. You open that. If you can beat the likes of Burnley, Wolves, who you should be beating. The Wolves have had a bit of a turnaround. Wolves of all the sides. They're not losing by much. They're losing by the odd goal here and there. So they have improved under Rob
They can
Edwards.
play spoiler.
Winning games. Yeah, they could be a problem. That could be a draw at home. Like, so you have to beat those sides at home. And they're the ones that ultimately give you the gap. And then you've got like Spurs with one of the worst home records in the league this year. They've only won twice at home all season. As the time of going live. Go and get a result there. Go and put them under pressure there. Get a point. Crystal Palace are right there with you. Could drag Crystal Palace and Spurs very much into this relegation battle in the next couple of weeks. And they're all signing loads of players, and that's great. But we did that before. Doesn't always work. Takes time for players to settle in. It's not a guarantee. Forest are playing off the exact same playbook they played the year we got relegated. They brought in a brand new goalkeeper in January. And there was nothing wrong with their goalkeeper, but they brought in another keeper. So Ortega's joined them. So they're all throwing money at the problem. And I would like Leeds to throw some money at the problem. I definitely would. But I don't think we should be wasting money on players that aren't going to improve the side. I think it has to be calculated and has to be the right players. If we come out of tomorrow night and we still haven't signed anybody, I think it's a problem. I think we've left ourselves short. And I think every January, it's really clear the 49ers don't like January. It's clear as day that they don't like January. But you can't let that get in the way of what's needed. And Leeds still need another striker because yesterday, DCL's running around up front on his own. Leeds don't have a target man to bring off the bench to replace him. It's Joe Pirou, who's not a target man. So if you play Joe Pirou up front on his own, you've got to change the entire shape around him to support him that way. It's a different profile, different type of play.
Yeah.
So you need that. Because Metch is going to keep picking up injuries. His CV suggests. I like Lucas Metch. I think he's a very good finisher. He's a clinical finisher. He's a very good player. But he's not always available. And if Dominic Calvert-Lewin gets injured, now we're in big trouble there. So don't play chance with the remainder of this. It's too big a gamble. This is going all in on a bad hand. Do you know what I mean? Just don't do it. Get yourself what you need. I don't have massive.
Okafor is not a striker, too. I mean, you could tell he's not trying to play centrally and go in. He just doesn't. He doesn't look interested playing that far central.
I don't know. He didn't come to Leeds. Part of the reason he wanted to leave AC Milan was he didn't want to play as a striker. He wanted to play left wing, and he's coming to Leeds and is playing as a second striker now again. But when we played with Wits and he was playing as a winger, he was arguably playing quite well. And then in this system, not so much. So, but he's not a striker. And again, his history tells you he's not a striker. He can play there, but he's not a striker. Dan James played there for Leeds, but he wasn't a striker. And they're different players. So don't. I mean, Jim is saying it there as well. Okafor is a winger. That's it. Yeah, he is. He's a winger. He's not a striker. It's the same with the Ilya Groove conversation. Like, well, he always goes sideways and backwards. He goes, because he's defense. He's a central defensive midfielder, and his job is to win the ball and retain possession. That's his gig. He's not a playmaker. He's not in there to go diagonal across the park. Other players are there to do that. Ethan Ampadu can do that all day long. Anton Stack has that in his locker. They're different profiles of players. Joe Rodon's a hard-hitting blocker of a centre-back. Pascal Stroke's a football in centre-half. You watch Rodon go into a 50-50, he usually comes out with the ball. You watch Stroke go into a 50-50, more often than not, he doesn't come out with the ball. The different profiles of players, and you need a different grouping of players around your whole pitch to play the way you want. But Leeds need to make sure that they've got all stuff. We're not signing Jorgen Strand-Larsen. It's not happening. Any more than what Leeds were offering is too much money. It was already too much money, but it stinks of panic buying if you end up paying that. But they've got to have a second option now. They've got to have somebody else they want.
What do you think about this? Leeds can Leeds walk and chew gum at the same time? There's got to be conversations going on with other players.
You hope so.
The fact that from the outside perspective, the things that get leaked is, we're in for Strand Larsen and that's it. Like, I don't think the other side of this, I will say, is we're in for a player like that. It's clearly published and documented. If you're in for another player and both deals come through, then you're wound up paying more. You know what I mean? The risk that you're taking PSR wise, because now you're having conversations with two players bringing in, let's say they're two strikers. Now you have to say yes to both the players. You're on the hook for both those dollars, I think, or whatever the quid. I just think I don't know. I think Leeds are in conversations with other players, but I think we don't necessarily know about it.
Yeah, they definitely are. They've got shortlists, they've got players, they've got. I would imagine all the players who've been linked to it over the course of this month, Leeds have had conversations about, at least, and that's where those stories come from. Whether they followed them up with any kind of serious interest, I do believe that the recruitment team at times back themselves more than they possibly should. I think that they like to think they're boxing a bit clever and they can wait until the end of the window and all of a sudden get these deals done. This smarmy comment that was made when Manor Solomon came in on deadline day, which was our long-term strategy has paid off on this one. Was like, all right, lads, yeah, you got one over the line. Do you want the list of players that you haven't gotten over the line on deadline day? Because it's a much longer list, So if you want to be smart about it, we can be smart too. The fans have a long memory,
Right.
So don't be smart. Just get what you need to do and get it done.
Let's look at the run-in. Let's look at the run-in a little bit. Forest on Friday. It's a huge game. I mean, it's huge based on where the two clubs are right now, but it's also huge in the fact that who we have after Forest. So if you look at the run-in, it's Forest away. I'm sorry, is that Forest at home? Forest at home? If I'm reading that right. Forest at home.
Yeah, Forest at home, yeah.
We actually are favorites. Okay. Forest at home.
Leeds home games for the remaining fixtures. These remaining home fixtures are Arsenal, which you've done. That's out of the way. Nottingham Forest next, then Man City, then Sunderland, Brentford, Wolves, Burnley. Now, Forest you win, you probably lose to Man City. Then you've got Sunderland, Brentford, Wolves, and Burnley.
Yeah, after that, but we have some away games.
Oh, you do. Yeah, you
have Chelsea away. Yeah. You have an FA Cup match, Villa away, and then you have City at home. So if you look at the next four, you're basically playing, that top end of the table, Chelsea, Villa, and City after Forest in the league. So I think Forest is absolutely huge.
Yeah, you need 3 points against Forest because you're not going to get a lot of other ones. You might get a couple of points if you're lucky. You might lose those games, But this is where you're now playing the long game. You're not looking at the games that are right in front of you. You're looking at the entirety of the rest of the games and going, where are the points?
But then after City, I mean, we've got a real good run-in after City to close out the league year. You've got all the people around you: Sunderland, Crystal Palace, Brentford, Man U, which will be a rivalry, Wolves, Bournemouth, Burnley, Spurs, Brighton, and then you finish with West Ham, which I hope is not a deciding, it's done and dusted by the time you go down to London on May 24th. But it's in our, if there's one theme out of this pod that I could possibly, I think, project to everyone, is that I really think this is in Leeds United's hands. We are in control of our own destiny.
If we're going to do that, we should look at the other ones as well. Like West Ham are away to Burnley next week, which is an important game for Burnley as well, because if Burnley can win that, Burnley close the gap on them. So they're still chasing them, although they're probably down, but they're chasing them. Then they're home to Manchester United, home to Bournemouth, away to Liverpool, away to Fulham, home to City, away to Aston Villa, away home to Wolves, away to Palace, home to Everton, away to Brentford. And then their last three games are home to Arsenal, away to Newcastle, home to Leeds. So, we still have to play a lot of the same teams. So even if they're not necessarily back-to-back, as I said this week already, that gap is going to get smaller before it gets bigger.
You did say that.
Just looking at as the fixtures are coming, the way they're coming. Like Nottingham Forest's next run of games, they're home to Palace today. Then they've got us on Friday night. Then they're home to Wolves. Again, Wolves are trying to get out, or at least, put up a bit of a fight. Then they've got Liverpool, Brighton, Man City, Fulham, Spurs, Villa. So not necessarily easy run of games. All these sides can potentially pick up a couple of points in that run. You're hoping for a couple of shocks on our side as well. But we've done it this season as well, especially at home. We have pulled off shocks. We've got to be braver than we were yesterday, but we have got it in our locker to pull off a couple of shocks.
Yeah, I really think if we get a result next week and Burnley somehow, if we get all 3 points and Burnley somehow plays spoiler against West Ham, it's another, I think, stage in which West Ham's dysfunction. Because I'll be honest with you, I think West Ham, and I'm not just saying that, I'm just, we have dysfunction, I'm sure, behind the scenes. West Ham and Forest, I think both have squads with personalities that that need to buy in. For whatever reason, it looks like Leeds United players are buying in, have bought into the system, have bought into Daniel FArke. He hasn't, lost the dressing room. It seems like, as an outsider perspective, that the match, you even saw it, but the way they lost that game, West Ham, both of those teams can be like a match can be struck and it could be on fire. And I'm hoping one of them gets cut adrift. Yeah.
Let's throw Spurs into the mix. Because I just looked
Spurs too. Yeah.
So Tottenham Hotspur currently have no wins in 5. They're 2 points ahead of us, just 2. And their next set of games are starting today, home to Man City, away to Manchester United, home to Newcastle, away to Arsenal, away to Fulham, home to Tottenham, away to Liverpool. Like, the next 5 games are not great for them either. So they're playing sides that are above them. So it's very possible you come out with this run of games. If Leeds can pick up 3 points in the next 4 and Spurs don't pick up any, these are above Spurs. So this could very quickly, this might end up not being Forest, Leeds, and West Ham fighting for that bottom spot. It could very easily be a Crystal Palace or Spurs. Palace have lost their manager. He's leaving at the end of the season. They've lost their captain. Yeah, they've signed a couple of players and they're signing Strand Larson. That has to work for them, and if it doesn't work, they're in trouble. I mean, you've got players who are now going to be clearly Mateta doesn't want to play for the club because the manager's leaving. So he's off. Gay, decided he was off as well. They've all left mid-season. So it doesn't always work out well. There's sides in there that in a couple of weeks, this could change again. And again, go back to the year we got relegated. We were in a relatively safe enough position coming out of the transfer window. And we ended up getting relegated. So a lot can change.
It's getting tasty. Squeaky bum time, I guess, was the phrase. Do you want to get stuck into the comments a little bit?
We've got a couple. Yeah, we've addressed a lot of them as we've gone through this. Anyway, Palace and Spurs could very much get drawn into this battle, says David. I would agree with that as well. Avoid the replies to each other. We're missing Bial at the back. We absolutely are. If we lose all the following games, the players' confidence will be gone. It is, yeah, Mark, I would agree with that. But we are talking about ifs, buts, and maybes. At the same time, people are saying no point in talking about the fixtures that are ahead of us because we don't know what FArke is going to do. So at the same time, we can't look ahead and say, well, if this happens and this happens, we just got to focus on the next game and try and get points there. Tottenham's fixtures are interesting. I would agree with that as well. People saying Joseph should have been sold in the summer, but wasn't. He's playing regularly for Mallorca. He's not scoring goals because they're playing him as a right winger, but he is down there. Waste of time talking about fixtures and games. Well, yeah, that's what we do here, though, isn't it? We can't sell. Let's have a conversation. I think that we will be in the bottom 3 at the end of February. The other teams at the bottom play each other in the coming weeks. Yeah, you're just hoping that they don't take huge amount of points in those games. Any result in Forest versus Palace today will be okay for Leeds, but Friday is another story because Burnley versus West Ham. Yeah, you Forest today have got Crystal Palace. I mean, a draw is not the worst result in the world for Leeds because we'd stay exactly as we are, and another game down. One less game to play. And it keeps Palace still 2 points ahead of you, so it keeps them in the mix as well. That is saying what people aren't realizing is if we bought a player for 40 million, the money they would pay up front comes off his summer budget. Well, yeah, and the whole issue with Strand Larson is Leeds don't have the money to put up front, so they're trying to structure it, amortize it over a 4 or 5 year contract. So it's 7.5 million a year for the next 5 years or something like that. So there's that. Chelsea are more beatable. They're odd. Yeah, they are odd. Josh saying, in all honesty, Jerry, do you think anyone comes in before the window? I don't, but I hope I'm wrong, and I really do hope I'm wrong. I'll be very happy if I am wrong. PSF says the three most important things for Leeds are tactics, and most importantly, tactics. Yep, gotta get that right. Ryan says, sadly, think the owners do the bare minimum and keep leaving us open to getting stung. I think they're trying to play within the rules. I think they could have, again, going back to the selling point, had they sold players, they would have far more leeway. They've got to get better at getting players off the books and give themselves some money to spend. So there is that point. At this point, I take Josh Sargent. I don't think you would. Goalkeeping and defender is my yeah. That's again a very valid point by Lee. If Leeds can keep clean sheets, and you guarantee yourself points, and that's important. It really could only be Leeds United to end up with a holy trinity of howlers in net. Well, it's gotten to that point. So again, I'll say the same thing. Lucas Perry has yet to not knock a ball into his own net or make an absolute daft mistake that's led to a goal. He has been, there's points he should have been better. No doubt. What about John Duran? Yeah, the link for John Duran comes from Team Talk. It's not overly credible at this point. So maybe he is an option. I'd like us to go for Promise David. I think he fits the bill as well. Big, tall player, very aggressive, fast as well. Can run in behind. I think he would be a good option for us as well. Effort is better than no effort, absolutely. And I just hope we survive this season, and then we can go and get an elite manager for the next season. I think it will be looked at in the summer. Paul says, if we survive, sell Joseph, Joffrey, Nanto, Piru. That's supposed to be Piru. On the summer, then we can get ready, really strengthen the team. Yeah, they've got to be able to sell players in the summer and turn the squad around as well. So control what you control, get results where you can. Yeah, if Leeds get the points, again, I'll go back to it again. This is where this is all wishful thinking, and I accept that. But I'll get the list up here. I haven't lost it. I think I've lost my list. There we go. If Leeds can beat, and again, hypothetically and wishful thinking, right? Dream booking here. If Leeds can beat Burnley, Forest, Wolves, and Sunderland at home, 4.
That's 15, right? Or no, 9.
12. That's 12. And if we can get a point at Spurs, Palace, and Bournemouth, that's 15 points, and that puts us on 41 points, which will be more than totals that have been needed to stay up in the Premier League for the last couple of years. Now, Leeds are involved in the mix, so obviously it'll be a higher total needed this year because that's how it always is. But that's where I think Leeds need their focus on. You have to beat Burnley, Forest, Wolves, and Sunderland at home. I think you have to win those 4 games. You do that, 12 points. You're nearly there. And then if you can get a point at Spurs, Palace, and Bournemouth together, that's 15 points. Anything else is a bonus. But they're, for me, the must-dos. They're the ones that if I'm looking at a board going, where's the points going to come from? They're the games that I'm aggressive in. They're the games that we're going.
And you got to win them. You've got to win them. You got to win them.
We need 4 wins. We need 4 more wins and probably 3 draws this season. That's what we need to remain in, 12 games? 11, 12 games.
Yeah. Yeah. And we won't play against an Arsenal. Like, we were not going to play against one of the best, if not the best team in Europe. So flush it.
I'm accounting for losing to Man City, losing to Chelsea, losing to Aston Villa. Like, that's baked into that as well. So it still can be done.
Right. And to your point, it will probably, the gap will shrink it based on those City. I'm not looking at it, but City.
The next couple of games,
we're all playing that Villa, City, and where am I at? Chelsea. Yeah. Villa, City, Chelsea, and Man United in a way are all coming up quickly. And then we have a great late April and May in terms of, we went out, we're good.
Scoobs is asking, has Talo even made a mistake before? Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday, right? When the cross came in, he went down on his knees to pick up the ball and he off his back ankle and went into the back of his own net. So it wasn't even a shot. So yeah, he has. He also did it with Wales this year as well when he fell over and getting an open goal. So I'm not criticizing Carl Darlow, but to answer your question, yes, he has. So yeah, people, even his own players, fans, if he was coming for it, it's the goalkeeper's fault, mate. It's the goalkeeper's fault, and none of the goalkeeping options are great right now for Leeds. So to Daniel Farke's comment, and the heading on this stream is, Daniel Farke said, our board knows my feelings on the goalkeeper situation. I won't speak about this publicly in my opinions. Sadly, I can't answer this honestly. So there's more to read into that, Alex, but we'll see.
If I speak. If I speak. It's kind of like, Mourinho. I think that's it. We covered pretty much everything, Jer. I mean, thank you for all the fans for joining us. Is there anything else that we want to say
Deadline day stream in the morning. So we will have a deadline day stream in the morning first thing. Alex, I believe you're hosting the deadline day final hour tomorrow night as well. If that's
yes,
still
I'm going to
on the
host.
cards.
You know, some notes for the channel. You're getting you're going to be covering with Sky.
I'm over in the UK with Finalysis tomorrow. Yeah, doing
Okay.
Be in Sky at some point. Yeah.
So fantastic news for you that you're going to be getting some exposure. Is that on like a national platform?
Sky Sports News at some point tomorrow evening, but it's mostly the days with Finalysis doing stuff for them. But I will be Sky Sports News the evening.
I always loved the when you were on the BBC. They said our man in Dublin. So it's like
that was handy because there was a game with Ireland coming up and it was the head of
I know.
He's
the man in Dublin for all things Leeds United. So I will see you tomorrow. Gier will see you tomorrow. Please smash the like, as this is open to all of the members of the channel and people beyond that. So we would love for you to do that. Also consider getting membership to the Leeds View. This is the Sunday session, so we do offer this to members only as a way to steward the members. There's also merch links below with our affiliates. And then finally, if you're listening to this on the audio platforms, we're trying to grow the audio platforms, please do leave us a review or a comment. So it's into the third: memberships, merch, and mentions. That's what we're asking for. But better days are ahead. It was a tough game against Arsenal, and we go again. Thanks everybody for joining us.
See you lads. Bye bye.